The diplomatic deception first contact. The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, detected by deep space monitoring stations scattered across the outer solar system. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the control room of the Mars Observation Facility, staring at the translation software as it processed the alien transmission. Her hands trembled as she reached for the emergency communication link to Earth Command. The Valith Confederation had made contact with humanity. After decades of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, the answer had finally come. But it had not come from humanity's search. They had found us. Within hours, every major government on Earth convened emergency sessions. The United Earth Council, formed 20 years earlier to present a unified front to any potential alien contact, activated its protocols. Ambassador Liu Chen, a veteran diplomat who had negotiated peace treaties across 3 continents, was selected to represent humanity in the first official dialogue. Liu stood before the holographic display in the Geneva Command Center, watching as the Valith diplomatic vessel approached Earth orbit. The ship was elegant, streamlined, with flowing curves that suggested advanced technology far beyond human capabilities. Its hull shimmered with an iridescent quality that shifted colors as it moved through space. The communication channel opened. A figure materialized in the hologram before Liu. The Valith diplomat was tall and slender, with pale violet skin and 4 arms that moved with graceful precision. Its eyes were large and golden, displaying what appeared to be genuine warmth. The translator rendered its voice as smooth and reassuring. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Diplomatic Envoy Karath of the Valith Confederation. We come in peace and friendship, bearing knowledge of the greater galactic community that awaits you." Liu bowed respectfully, aware that billions of eyes across Earth watched this historic moment. "Welcome to our solar system, Envoy Karath. I am Ambassador Liu Chen, speaking on behalf of the United Earth Council. We are honored by your presence and eager to learn of the galaxy beyond our world." Over the following weeks, negotiations proceeded smoothly. Too smoothly, some observers noted. The Valith offered technology, access to trade networks, and membership in their confederation. They spoke of thousands of species living in harmony under Valith guidance. They painted a picture of a peaceful galaxy where warfare was ancient history and cooperation had replaced conflict. Liu conducted the negotiations with careful professionalism, but privately something troubled him. The Valith were too generous, too accommodating. They asked for very little in return for the wealth of knowledge they offered. Only minor concessions: mining rights in the asteroid belt, a small military base on Europa's surface for mutual defense, and access to Earth's biological databases. The whistleblower, the truth came from an unexpected source. 3 months into negotiations, a small escape pod crashed in the Australian outback. Inside was a dying alien, not Valith but from a species called the Drex. The creature was reptilian, with green-scaled skin and desperate eyes. Dr. Sarah Walsh, a xenobiologist, rushed to the crash site, worked frantically to stabilize the alien's vital signs. Through a hastily assembled translation device, the Drex managed to speak before succumbing to its injuries. Its final words were recorded and immediately classified at the highest level. "Run," the alien had whispered. "The Valith do not negotiate. They conquer. We believed their lies too. Now my people mine minerals in chains. They wait until you trust them, until they understand your weaknesses. Then they strike. We managed to steal a ship to warn others. Please do not trust them. Run while you still can." The recording reached Liu Chen within hours. He sat in his private office playing the message repeatedly, watching the life fade from the Drex's eyes as it delivered its warning. His mind raced through every interaction with the Valith, reanalyzing every phrase, every gesture, every offer. Liu immediately requested a secure meeting with the United Earth Council. In a sealed chamber deep beneath Geneva, he presented the recording to Earth's leaders. The room fell silent as the Drex's warning played. President Maria Santos of the Americas spoke first, her voice tight with controlled anger. "How many species have they done this to?" Intelligence Director James Morrison stepped forward with a data tablet. His team had been quietly investigating Valith claims during the negotiations. "We've detected at least 15 systems in Valith space that match the profile. Worlds with industrial signatures but no independent communications. Mining operations on a massive scale. Based on the Drex's testimony and our observations, we estimate the Valith Confederation has enslaved between 12 and 20 species over the past 5 centuries. Liu closed his eyes. They've been studying us. Every question they asked, every technology exchange, every cultural discussion, they were mapping our weaknesses. How long until they make their move? Asked Premier Jiang Wei of East Asia. Morrison consulted his tablet. Based on historical patterns we've identified, the Valith typically wait until initial negotiations are complete and formal treaties are signed. Then they introduce a crisis, something that requires their military intervention. Once their forces are in place, they reveal their true intentions. Given our current timeline, we estimate 6 weeks before they attempt to seize control. Earth's hidden hand General Patricia Armstrong, Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces, stood and activated a holographic display. The image showed a massive construction project in the deep reaches of the Kuiper Belt, far beyond Neptune's orbit. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Project Sentinel. We began this initiative 22 years ago, shortly after we detected our first potentially artificial signal from deep space. The project was based on a simple premise. If we are not alone, we must be prepared for the possibility that first contact might not be peaceful. The hologram rotated, showing a vessel unlike anything the council members had seen before. It was enormous, dwarfing anything humanity had built. The ship was angular and aggressive, bristling with weapon systems. Its hull was dark, almost black, designed to absorb sensor scans. This is the UNSS Judgment Day, our first and only Titan-class warship. It is 8 kilometers long, crewed by 4,000 personnel and equipped with weapon systems the Valith have never encountered. We've spent 2 decades studying every scrap of information about potential alien technologies, preparing for a threat we hoped would never materialize. Ambassador Liu studied the vessel. What are its capabilities? General Armstrong smiled grimly. The Valith rely heavily on energy shields and directed energy weapons. We've taken a different approach. The Judgment Day is equipped with railgun batteries that fire solid projectiles at relativistic speeds. Their shields won't stop them. We have quantum-entangled communication systems they cannot jam. We have stealth technology that makes us invisible to their sensors, and we have something they abandoned centuries ago. Nuclear weapons, but not the primitive devices from our past. These are antimatter catalyzed fusion warheads, each one capable of destroying a capital ship. We also have AI warfare systems, added Dr. Rodriguez, who had been brought into the meeting. Not simple programs, but true adaptive intelligence that can learn and counter enemy tactics in real time. The Valith use predictable attack patterns. Our systems will exploit that. President Santos leaned forward. Are you suggesting we strike first? No, Liu said firmly. But I am suggesting we change the nature of these negotiations. The Valith expect us to be naive, trusting, and weak. Let them continue to believe that until we're ready. General Armstrong, how long until the Judgment Day is fully operational? It can deploy in 72 hours. All systems are tested and ready. Liu turned to the council. Then I propose we complete the negotiations as planned. We sign whatever treaties the Valith want. We smile and nod and play the role of grateful primitives joining the galactic community. And when they make their move, when they show their true face, we show them ours. The deception continues. The treaty signing ceremony was held aboard the Valith diplomatic vessel in Earth orbit. Ambassador Liu arrived with a delegation of Earth's leaders all playing their roles perfectly. They smiled for the cameras, spoke of friendship and cooperation, and signed documents that would have effectively surrendered Earth's sovereignty to Valith control. Envoy Karath beamed with satisfaction. Its forearms moved in what Liu had learned was a gesture of triumph among the Valith. This is a momentous day for your species. Under the guidance of the Confederation, humanity will prosper. Liu maintained his diplomatic smile while his mind calculated distances and timing. The Judgment Day was moving into position at that very moment, approaching from above the orbital plane where Valith sensors were weakest. The celebration lasted 3 hours. Wine flowed, speeches were made, and promises of a bright future echoed through the diplomatic vessel. As the Earth delegation prepared to depart, Karath made one final request. Ambassador Liu, we would like to establish our military coordination center within the next week. The sooner our forces can begin protecting Earth, the better. Of course, Liu replied smoothly. We'll have the Europa facility ready for your arrival. As the shuttle carried Liu back to Earth, he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Valeth had taken the bait completely. They believed Earth was now under their control, ripe for exploitation. They would soon learn the cost of that assumption. Deployment deep in the Kuiper Belt, the UNSS Judgment Day completed its final preparations. Captain Marcus Richardson stood on the bridge, addressing his crew through the ship's internal communication system. He was a career military officer, 53 years old, with gray hair and eyes that had seen combat in Earth's final territorial conflicts. Crew of the Judgment Day. This is your captain speaking. For 22 years we have trained for a day we hoped would never come. That day has arrived. The Valeth Confederation has revealed itself to be an empire built on slavery and deception. They believe Earth is defenseless. They believe we will surrender without a fight. They are wrong. Throughout the massive vessel, 4,000 men and women stood at their stations. They represented every nation on Earth, volunteers who had given years of their lives to prepare for this moment. They had trained in secret, built weapons in secret, and waited in secret. Now finally they would act. We depart in 1 hour, Richardson continued. Our destination is the Valeth capital system. We go not to conquer, but to deliver a message. Humanity will not be enslaved. We will not bow. And any species that threatens our freedom will face consequences they cannot imagine. Make your final preparations. Check your systems. Say your prayers if you have them. And remember, we carry the hopes of 8 billion people. We are Earth's answer to tyranny. The Judgment Day's engines came to life, generating power levels that would have been impossible with human technology alone. The ship had incorporated every advancement humanity had made, every secret learned from studying alien transmissions, every innovation born from desperation and determination. As the massive warship accelerated away from the Kuiper Belt, stealth systems activated. To any observer, it simply vanished. The Judgment Day became a ghost, a shadow moving through the dark between stars, carrying with it the fury of a species that refused to surrender. On Earth, Ambassador Liu Chen stood on the balcony of his Geneva apartment, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Captain Richardson and his crew were racing toward confrontation. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. Liu raised a glass to the sky, to the brave men and women of the Judgment Day, to the future that would be decided in the days ahead. The Valeth had made a fatal error. They had mistaken humanity's desire for peace as weakness. They had confused diplomacy with submission. They were about to learn the difference. The stage was set. The pieces were in motion, and the galaxy was about to witness the birth of a new power, one that would not be bullied, would not be conquered, and would not be ignored. The Judgment Day was coming, and with it, the end of the Valeth Confederation's reign of deception. The galaxy's reckoning arrival at the capital, the Valeth capital system of Dravon, was a monument to their perceived supremacy. 3 inhabited planets orbited a yellow star, each one covered with gleaming cities and orbital platforms. Massive space stations hung in carefully calculated positions, serving as trade hubs and military command centers. Thousands of ships moved through designated traffic lanes, carrying resources extracted from enslaved worlds across the Confederation. The UNSS Judgment Day emerged from faster-than-light travel at the system's edge, exactly where Captain Richardson had planned. For 3 weeks they had traveled in complete silence, maintaining stealth protocols that made them invisible to conventional sensors. Now as they drifted toward the inner system, the crew prepared for what would come next. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park stood at the tactical station, monitoring Valeth fleet positions. Her screens showed 47 warships in the capital system, ranging from patrol corvettes to massive dreadnoughts. Each one was designed for energy warfare, optimized for battles the Valeth had fought for centuries against species using similar technology. Captain, we've mapped their defensive network, Park reported. Their sensor grid has gaps at these coordinates. We can penetrate to within 5,000 kilometers of the primary orbital station before they detect us. Richardson studied the tactical display, his experienced eyes analyzing firing solutions and escape vectors. How many ships can we disable before they organize a coordinated response? Based on their communication patterns and reaction times, I estimate we can neutralize 8 to 12 capital ships before they adapt. After that, it becomes a straight fight. Commander David Chen, the executive officer, moved beside Richardson. Sir, we could simply broadcast our message from here. We don't need to engage their fleet to prove our point. Richardson shook his head. The Valeth respect only power. A message alone means nothing. We need to demonstrate that humanity is not prey. We need to show them, and every other species watching, that enslaving us comes with an unacceptable cost. He activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We are approaching the Valeth capital. In approximately 2 hours, we will reveal ourselves and deliver Earth's response to their deception. Every department has performed flawlessly. I am proud to serve with each of you. Battle stations in 90 minutes. Richardson out. Throughout the Judgment Day, crew members made final preparations. In the weapons bays, magnetic accelerators charged to full power. In the missile compartments, AI guidance systems ran final diagnostics. In engineering, fusion reactors pushed to maximum output, feeding energy to every system aboard the massive warship. Dr. Emily Zhao, the ship's chief science officer, worked in her laboratory analyzing Valeth shield frequencies. She had spent the entire journey studying intercepted transmissions, mapping the energy signatures of their defensive systems. Her findings would determine the effectiveness of their first strike. I've identified a critical vulnerability, she reported to the bridge. Valeth shields operate on a rotating frequency pattern to prevent sustained damage from energy weapons. But the rotation creates microsecond gaps. Our railguns can exploit those gaps if we time the firing sequences correctly. Send your data to Tactical, Richardson ordered. Lieutenant Park, integrate Dr. Zhao's findings into our targeting solutions. Aye, Captain. Adjusting firing patterns now. The confrontation begins. The Judgment Day reached its attack position undetected, a testament to humanity's stealth technology. On the bridge, Richardson watched as the primary orbital station grew larger on the view screen. The station was enormous, easily 30 kilometers across, serving as the administrative center for the entire Valeth Confederation. All weapons ready, Park reported. Targeting solutions locked. Communications open a channel to the Valeth command station. All frequencies maximum broadcast strength. The communications officer, Lieutenant James Morrison, worked his controls. Channel open, sir. They're receiving. Richardson stood straightening his uniform. His image would be transmitted throughout the Valeth capital system, seen by millions. He spoke with calm authority, each word carefully chosen. This is Captain Marcus Richardson of the United Nations Starship Judgment Day, representing the free people of Earth. 3 months ago, your Confederation contacted my world with offers of friendship and cooperation. Those offers were lies. You planned to enslave us as you have enslaved 15 other species. You believed humanity was weak, trusting, and vulnerable. You were wrong on all counts. On the orbital station, Supreme Chancellor Vex received the transmission with shock. The Valeth leader was ancient by human standards, over 300 years old, with skin that had darkened to deep purple with age. Its 4 arms gestured frantically at subordinates as they scrambled to locate the source of the transmission. Scan for the human vessel. Find it immediately. Chancellor, we detect nothing. Our sensors show no ships in unauthorized positions. Vex's golden eyes narrowed with anger and confusion. Impossible. The humans had only primitive spacecraft. They could not have traveled to Dravon, could not have avoided detection. Yet here was a human captain, broadcasting from somewhere within their most secure system. Richardson continued his message. We come here today to deliver a simple warning. Earth is not for conquest. Any attempt to subjugate humanity will be met with overwhelming force. We have prepared for this day since we first reached for the stars. We are ready. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? He gestured to Lieutenant Park. Tactical drop stealth. Show them what they're facing. Park entered the command sequence. The Judgment Day's stealth systems deactivated in a cascade of energy. Suddenly, on every Valeth sensor screen throughout the system, a massive warship materialized seemingly out of nothing. It hung in space like a dark blade, 8 kilometers of human engineering and determination. On the orbital station, alarms shrieked. Officers stared at their displays in disbelief. The vessel was enormous, larger than any Valeth dreadnought. Its design was unlike anything in their databases, angular and aggressive, covered with weapon systems they didn't recognize. All fleet units, engage the human vessel, Vex commanded. Destroy it immediately! 47 Valeth warships changed course, accelerating toward the Judgment Day. Their formation was standard Confederation doctrine, designed to concentrate firepower while maintaining overlapping defensive fields. They had used these tactics for centuries, perfecting them through countless battles against species using similar technology. Richardson watched the enemy fleet approach. Tactical, you may fire when ready. The battle that changed everything. Park's fingers moved across her controls with practiced precision. Firing railgun batteries 1 through 8. The Judgment Day shuddered slightly as 8 magnetic accelerators fired in rapid sequence. Tungsten carbide projectiles, each weighing 5 tons, accelerated to 15% of light speed in less than a second. They crossed the distance to the leading Valith dreadnought in just over 2 seconds. The Valith captain of the dreadnought, Eternal Glory, barely had time to order evasive maneuvers before the projectiles struck. The ship's energy shields, designed to deflect particle beams and plasma bolts, offered almost no resistance to solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. 8 projectiles punched through the shields and impacted the hull. The kinetic energy released was catastrophic. Armor vaporized, internal decks collapsed. The dreadnought broke apart in a cascade of secondary explosions, its fusion reactors losing containment. Throughout the Valith fleet, captains watched in horror as their lead vessel died in seconds. Their confidence evaporated, replaced by confusion and fear. The humans were using weapons they had never encountered, tactics they had no defense against. All ships disperse formation, ordered Fleet Admiral Carrick's aboard the command carrier Dominion. Do not present mass targets. Activate emergency shield modulation. The Valith fleet scattered, trying to adapt to an enemy that fought unlike anything they had faced before. They fired their directed energy weapons, brilliant beams of concentrated particles that could slice through conventional armor. The beams struck the Judgment Day's shields and dispersed harmlessly, absorbed by defensive fields calibrated specifically to counter such attacks. Richardson watched calmly as enemy fire splashed against his shields like water against stone. Tactical, deploy missile spread alpha. Target the command carrier and its escorts. Launch tubes opened along the Judgment Day's flanks. 200 missiles emerged, each one guided by an AI system capable of independent decision-making. The missiles didn't fly in predictable patterns. They juked and weaved, coordinating with each other, adapting their approach vectors in real time to avoid point defense fire. Admiral Carrick watched the incoming missiles with growing dread. His tactical officer struggled to establish firing solutions, but the missiles moved too erratically. Point defense lasers destroyed 50, then 80, then 100 missiles, but the remaining 100 adjusted their approach, exploiting the gaps in the defensive fire. Brace for impact, Carrick shouted. The missiles struck in a coordinated pattern, each one targeting a specific section of the command carrier's defenses. The first wave overwhelmed the shields. The second wave penetrated the hull. Then came the antimatter warheads. The Dominion vanished in a sphere of annihilation. Matter and antimatter met and converted directly to energy, releasing the same force that powered stars. The explosion was so bright that automated safety systems dimmed view screens across the system to prevent blindness. 3 escort cruisers, caught in the blast radius, suffered catastrophic damage. 2 lost power completely, drifting helplessly. The third managed to limp away on auxiliary systems, its crew evacuating to escape pods. The Valith fleet was in chaos. In less than 5 minutes of combat, they had lost 4 capital ships and dozens of smaller vessels. Their formations were broken, their command structure disrupted, their confidence shattered. The turning point on the orbital station, Supreme Chancellor Vex watched the battle unfold with growing horror. The humans had built a weapon specifically designed to counter Valith tactics. They had studied Confederation warfare and created solutions for every strategy, every technology, every doctrine the Valith relied upon. How is this possible? Vex demanded. They have only known of us for months. How did they build such a vessel? A tactical analyst approached hesitantly. Chancellor, based on the ship's design and technology, we estimate construction began at least 20 years ago. The humans started building this weapon long before we made contact. They were preparing for us before they even knew we existed. The implications hit Vex like a physical blow. Humanity had looked at the stars and prepared for the worst possible scenario. They had not built a fleet for exploration or trade. They had built a weapon for war just in case the universe proved hostile, and they had been right to do so. Another transmission came from the Judgment Day. Richardson appeared again on the main display, his expression stern but controlled. Supreme Chancellor Vex, I trust you are watching. Your fleet has two choices. They can continue fighting and die, or they can stand down and live. We did not come here to conquer your worlds or enslave your people. We came to deliver a message about the price of threatening humanity. That message has been delivered. Order your ships to withdraw. Vex's forearms trembled with rage and humiliation. To surrender to a single ship, to be defeated by a species they had dismissed as primitive, it was unthinkable. Yet continuing the battle would only result in more deaths, more destroyed vessels, more humiliation. The remaining Velith ships continued their attack, desperation driving their tactics. They launched everything they had, thousands of missiles and energy beams, a coordinated assault that would have destroyed any conventional vessel. The Judgment Day's defensive systems came alive. Point defense lasers tracked and destroyed incoming missiles with computerized precision. Chaff clouds disrupted guidance systems. Electronic warfare suites jammed targeting computers. And when attacks penetrated all other defenses, the ship's shields absorbed them with apparent ease. Commander Chen monitored the shield status. Shields holding at 72%. We can maintain this indefinitely, Richardson nodded. Tactical, target their propulsion systems. Disable, don't destroy. Let's end this. Park adjusted her targeting parameters. The railguns fired again, but this time with pinpoint precision. Projectiles struck engine sections, weapon arrays, and command centers. Velith ships found themselves crippled, drifting helplessly but intact. Their crews were alive, rescued from destruction by an enemy showing mercy they themselves had never offered. Within an hour, the battle was over. 23 Velith warships were disabled. 14 had been destroyed. The remainder retreated beyond weapons range, unwilling to continue a fight they could not win. The New Order Richardson sat in his command chair, studying the tactical display. The Velith fleet was broken, their military superiority shattered. But more importantly, the entire galaxy had witnessed what happened. Sensor data from the battle would spread to every system within days. Communications open a channel to all vessels and stations in this system. Maximum broadcast. Lieutenant Morrison worked his controls. Channel open, sir. Everyone is listening. Richardson stood again, knowing his next words would shape the future of human-alien relations. People of the Velith Confederation, and to all species listening throughout the galaxy, I am Captain Richardson. Today, Earth has demonstrated our capability for warfare. We did not seek this conflict. We came in peace, hoping to join a community of civilized species. Instead, we found deception and planned enslavement. He paused, letting his words sink in across thousands of ships and stations. But we also found something else. We found other species suffering under Velith oppression. The Drex, the Korthan, the Silix, and 12 others. Species who warned us despite the risk to themselves. Species who deserve freedom as much as humanity does. On the orbital station, Vex listened with growing realization of what was coming. The human was not just defeating them militarily. He was destroying the political foundations of their confederation. Earth hereby recognizes the independence of all species held in servitude by the Velith Confederation. We offer military protection to any world seeking freedom from oppression. We propose the formation of a free worlds coalition, an alliance of equals based on cooperation and mutual defense, not domination and exploitation. Throughout the Velith-controlled systems, enslaved populations heard Richardson's words with hope they had not felt in centuries. On mining colonies and industrial worlds, workers looked up from their forced labor and dared to imagine freedom. The response was immediate. Within hours, governments in exile, resistance movements, and planetary councils began broadcasting their acceptance of Earth's offer. The Drex were first, their surviving leadership transmitting coordinates of their homeworld and requesting immediate protection. Others followed rapidly. On Earth, Ambassador Liu Chen received the flood of transmissions with both satisfaction and concern. They had won the battle, but now came the challenge of building something better than what they had destroyed. Supreme Chancellor Vex finally spoke. Its voice transmitted across all frequencies. Captain Richardson, you have proven your military superiority, but you cannot protect everyone. You cannot be in every system at once. When you leave, we will reclaim what is ours. Richardson smiled coldly. Chancellor, you still don't understand. The Judgment Day is our first Titan-class warship, not our only one. Even as we speak, 3 more vessels are under construction. In 5 years, we will have 10. In 10 years, 20. We will build as many as necessary to ensure that no species lives in slavery. We will patrol, we will protect, and we will respond to any aggression with overwhelming force. It was another bluff, but a believable one. The Valeth had no way to verify how many Titan-class ships humanity could build. They only knew that they could not defeat the one ship they faced. Vex slumped in its command chair, finally accepting the reality of their new situation. The Confederation was finished. Their military was broken. Their enslaved populations were rebelling, and humanity stood ready to enforce a new order. Aftermath and new beginnings. 3 weeks later, the UNSS Judgment Day returned to Earth orbit. The crew received a hero's welcome, parades in every major city, medals and honors from grateful governments. But Captain Richardson knew the real work was just beginning. In Geneva, the first Free Worlds Coalition summit convened. Representatives from 18 species gathered, former slaves now free to determine their own futures. Ambassador Liu Chen chaired the meeting, working to build consensus among beings with vastly different cultures and needs. The Valeth Confederation collapsed over the following months. Some systems declared independence peacefully. Others saw brutal fighting as local commanders tried to maintain control. The Judgment Day and newly constructed human warships responded to calls for help, their presence enough to deter most aggression. Supreme Chancellor Vex resigned in disgrace, replaced by reformers who sought peaceful coexistence with the new galactic order. The Valeth people, freed from their authoritarian government, began the long process of reconciliation with species they had oppressed. On Earth, the revelation of Project Sentinel sparked debate about transparency and military spending. But most people recognized that preparation had saved humanity from slavery. The lesson was clear: hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Captain Richardson stood on the observation deck of the Judgment Day, now permanently stationed in Earth orbit as a deterrent and symbol. He watched the planet below, thinking about the journey from first contact to galactic power. Commander Chen joined him at the window. "Do you think we did the right thing, sir?" "We changed the entire galaxy." Richardson nodded slowly. The galaxy needed changing. Empires built on slavery and deception cannot be allowed to stand. We gave oppressed species a chance at freedom. That's worth fighting for. And what comes next? We build. We protect. We show the galaxy that strength can be used for justice, not just conquest. We prove that humanity deserves its place among the stars, not through domination, but through the example we set. Far across the galaxy, on the liberated world of Drex, statues were raised in honor of the human ship that had changed everything. Children born free sang songs about the day the Judgment Day arrived. And throughout formerly enslaved worlds, a new hope emerged that freedom was not just a dream, but a reality enforced by beings who remembered what it meant to fight for liberty. The Valeth had sent diplomats expecting easy conquest. Instead, they found humanity's Titan-class warship and learned a lesson that would echo through galactic history. Some species choose peace because they fear war, but humanity chose peace while prepared for war, and that made all the difference. The galaxy's balance had broken, but from the fragments, something better was being built. A coalition of free worlds protected by a species that refused to bow. Earth had taken its place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as defenders of a simple principle that all beings deserved freedom, and the UNSS Judgment Day remained in orbit, a silent guardian watching over humanity's home, ready to deploy again if needed. Because the universe was vast, and there would always be those who sought to dominate others, but now there would always be someone ready to stand against them. The age of easy conquest was over. The age of human protection had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.